Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Still upstanding, let us have an opening prayer from Bishop Kisinga.
Let's pray. Our most loving Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you, Lord, for the gift of life this morning. We thank you for giving us an opportunity to be stakeholders in the education sector in this country. We thank you, Lord, for gathering us this morning in this place. We thank you for the way you have watched over us as we came from different parts of this country. And we thank you even for those that are on the way coming to join. We pray your blessings, Lord, even in this forum. Lord, as we share matters that concern our children, even the children of this great land, we pray your blessing and wisdom. Father, as we start, continue, and even finish, may your name be glorified. Help those that will be making presentations. And Lord, may you grant us a great conversation for the glory of your name. We ask this and receive by faith in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. We can now take our seats. And we'll move on to introductions for the different stakeholders that we have. But once again, feel welcome. And as I've earlier indicated, we have two functions in one. We have the first function, which is the sensitization on the new grading system that will be presented, and thereafter will also be taken through examination preparedness for the administration of the forthcoming examinations, spelling out what our expectations are and our different roles. Thereafter then, we shall move into the second function, which will be the launch of the examination period. I want to repeat that for our comfort, ladies and gentlemen, we have provided different facilities, and we have facilities at the gates right on the entrance. We also have facilities on the ground floor and the different floors of our new building. On behalf of the CEO who is attending another function, feel welcomed, and he will be joining us with the council.
Drug and substance abuse at 60.1%, natural calamities at 59.7%. 46.7% of the students and 28% of the teachers reported that schools had.
And so that we get to understand that we are here as stakeholders in education. We are here as consumers of the products that come from our education processes, and therefore it will be important that we get to know who have been invited here. Later on, we'll be joined by our other senior guests, and they will be introduced at that time. May I request that if the following are in our midst, then they will just stand and wave. Allow me to begin off with the directors from the Ministry of Education. Directors from the Ministry of Education, please just stand and wave at us so that we can feel comfortable that you're the ones hosting us. Thank you. Can we give them a clap? We have also invited directors from the Teachers Service Commission, headquarters, directors from the Teachers Service Commission. If they are in, please. If they are not in, then they'll be okay. Directors from the Teachers Service Commission, if they're in, they can stand and wave. Thank you. If they're not there, we'll move on. I'll then move on to the regional directors of education. Regional directors of education, please, you can be upstanding. And we really want to appreciate the role that you've played in coordination of the examination administration processes. We can give them a clap, we just appreciate them. Thank you. We move on to the regional police commandants. Regional police commanders, they're here. And you can see their presence is really heavy, and we are well guarded, and we appreciate the role that you've played all through. Thank you so much. We can give them a clap. I'll move on to the deputy county commissioners and the ACCs that may have joined you. Deputy county commissioners and ACCs, if present. Thank you. You can see they are really, really present. Can we give them a clap? Allow me also to recognize the presence of the sub-county directors of education, sub-county directors of education, who are also very many. Can we give them a clap and appreciate? Allow me to also appreciate that we have quality and assurance, but I'm sure they have also come with the sub-county directors of education. So at this point then, we will recognize them. We have also invited stakeholders from our different associations. We have the Kenya Secondary Schools Heads Association, if they are present in our midst. Some of the stakeholders are in another meeting, very crucial, and I'm sure the outcome of that meeting is also going to be communicated here. Okay. Thank you. So the association representatives are also in another meeting, and we'll be introducing them at a later date. May I request the Kenya National Examinations Council staff, please, that we be upstanding wherever we are. And we will appreciate. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to request the ushers that are within here to just move forward. 3 types of colors so that I can demonstrate how we are going to be ushering. If you look at a card you've been given, that card has a color, and therefore when you need assistance, you will look for somebody in a strap of that color. They are within our environs. So they should be the ones to assist you. I'm sure they will be all over. Like with me, I have Dorothy, who is in a white strap. So if you have a card that has white color, you look out for a strap of white color, and that person should be able to assist. On my extreme right, I have Charity, and Charity is in a red strap. So if your card has a red color, just be on the watch out to see a red strap, and you can seek assistance, and they should be ushering you and providing assistance for you to move to wherever you will be. Others, for those who are arriving now, we've served a cup of tea, and if you've just arrived, please make sure you feel comfortable and ask for assistance so that you can be guided. Sorry, I forgot my bosses. County Directors of Education. Today I'll be sacked. County Directors of Education, please. Let's be upstanding so that we can recognize you. County Directors of Education. I'm sorry for that. That's an error of omission. Can we appreciate them for being in our presence? Thank you. So we'll move on to the next session. And straight away, we are moving into the presentation on the grading system for KCSC. TSC County Directors. And I still have my TSC number. So, you know, nekana nitaenda nyumbani. TSC County Directors, please be upstanding. And then I know I have the regional county directors. TSC County Directors. Sorry. The TSC regional county, the regional directors. TSC regional directors, please be upstanding. I've been given a command from... Thank you so much. And I'm sorry for that omission. And then now the TSC County Directors. TSC County Directors. Thank you, thank you. We are sorry. I think I didn't have a list, so we are sorry. Thank you so much. So we'll move on to the next presentation, and that is on the new grading system. We are all aware that we have been given some recommendations by the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. Kenya National Examinations Council being key, I'm sure we are all awaiting to hear what is the way forward. So today we have prepared ourselves to sensitize you on our action plan so that as we begin the examination administration process, you will be our foot soldiers in the field and get to understand. We also want to empower you so that you get to know what will happen at the end of the year. So at this point, allow me to invite Andrew Otieno, who is our Deputy Director, Research and Quality Assurance, to come and take us through the proposal on the new grading system. Andrew, you can use that. Thank you. You can use this mic.
Oh, thank you, Madam Imelda. The senior officer from the Ministry of Education, TSC, and our senior education officials from the field. Good morning. And I want to take you through the new grading system that NEC is preparing to implement starting from this 2023 KCSE examination as per the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms. So as we are all aware, the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms was appointed by the President of the Republic of Kenya on the 29th of September 2022. And the report, the final report, which is in transforming education, training and research for sustainable development in Kenya, was presented to the President on the 1st of August 2023. The report had several recommendations which are touching on the NEC mandate. Some, if I just highlight some of the recommendations touching on the NEC mandates, the first one was to review the competency-based assessment framework, because there are some subjects which were being recommended that we reduce the number of subjects to be assessed at each and every level. We were to restructure KEPSEA so that the KEPSEA is just for the purpose of monitoring of learners' progress and providing feedback to the stakeholders, and not to be used for the placement. KEPSEA is the assessment at the grade 6. Then we are also supposed to provide the guideline on the ACBET, and we are also to start on the mechanism of how NEC can be printing their national examination in Kenya. We are also to provide the guideline for the placement of learners to the various career pathways at the senior school level. NEC also is expected to provide the assessment at the various levels, starting from grade 6, where we have the KEPSEA, and KEPSEA is just to be computed using the cumulative scores, SBS scores, from the grade 4 up to 6. And this one was basically to be used to provide the feedback to the stakeholders. Then at grade 9, where we have the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, Kenya Junior School Education Assessment is expected to have 20% of the KEPSEA, 20% of the school-based assessment at grade 7 and 8, and 60% of the summative assessment, which will be administered at the end of grade 7. At the grade 12 level, where we are expected to be offering the Kenya Senior School Education Assessment, the Kenya Senior School Education Assessment was proposed to comprise of 70% of the summative assessment and 30% of the school-based assessment. Then also NEC is expected to enhance its ICT system so that we start offering some e-assessment at various levels Then we are also expected to build the capacity of teachers and relevant stakeholders on the new approaches in assessment. NEC is also expected to monitor and evaluate the implementation of the reviewed assessment process, and the final, which was touching on the KCSE examination, is NEC to develop the guideline for computing KCSE mean scores based on English or Kiswahili and mathematics and any other 5 best subjects. We are all aware that KCPE, we normally compute the overall grade on the 7 subjects. So if I just take you through the subject, how the KCSE subjects are grouped, we have a total of 31 subjects for KCSE, and they are grouped in 5 groups, where we are having the group 1, which have what is the compulsory subject. We have the English, Kiswahili, and those who are not taking Kiswahili normally take Kenyan Sign Language and mathematics. So the 3 subjects are compulsory when we are getting the 7 subjects to be used in the grading. Then we have the grade 2, which is comprised of science subject, and the science subject is biology, physics, and chemistry, those who are taking what we can refer to as pure science. Then we also have the biology for the blind and the general science. So the candidates are expected to be graded on 2 of the sciences in that group B. Then we have the group 3 subjects, which we refer to them as humanities or art subjects. So here we also have the 5 subjects. And in the group 3, which we have history and government, geography, or the religion, here candidates are expected to take at least 1 subject. We use it in the grading. So when we are using the grading, you get that we have the 3 compulsory group 1, 2 subjects in science, the group 2, and 1 subject in group 3. Then we also have the group 4 subjects, which are basically we can call them the technology subjects. And finally, we have the group 5, which comprise of the foreign language and music and business studies. So the grading system, candidates are normally expected to pick at least 7 subjects and at most 9 subjects among this grouping, with some hurdles of the group system. So for the regular candidates, candidates are graded based on the best subject, and they have to choose from either group 1, which group 2, and group 3, and the 1 subject is normally group 1, group 3, group 2, and group 3 will give them a total of 6 subjects. Then at least 1 best subject in either of the group 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that is how the candidates are normally expected to select the subject. Then when NEC also do the overall grading, we'll pick the 7 basing on the guideline of the compulsory subject to be picked in each and every group. So let me just take you through some of the comparison of the comparison of the result between in the African region here and the countries which I want to compare with. We are having Uganda. Yeah, just take us in we have Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, and I'm comparing them with the Kenyan system. So I'm trying to compare at the O level, And when examining board, we normally categorize the subject, how the candidate performed, as a distinction, credit, then we are having the pass level. So we are just trying to compare it on those categories. And if you look at the Kenyan system, our distinction is normally A minus and A. That is in the KCSE. The other system, which are O levels, their distinction, you get that like Uganda, their distinction is Division 1. Similar to Tanzania, their distinction is Division 1, according to their system. Then Zambia, their distinction falls between, they call it 1 and 2, falls in the distinction level. Then for Kenya, the level of credit, our credit level, we normally base it at B minus. So between somebody getting B minus up to B plus, we say that is a category of the credit level. So that is similar also to the Ugandan system. Their credit level is normally Division 2. Tanzania also Division 2. And Zambia, they are calling it a bit of merit. And it's between 0.3 and 4. If we go to the Division 3, our Kenyan system, we have a point where we are calling it the basic, where if we compare with the other group, that is at C plus level, which in my case, I'm trying to refer to it as a pass. So this one is similar to the other education boards where they are having the Tanzania at a level, they are calling it Division 3, or similar to Tanzania. And Zambia, they are grading it, they are referring to it as their credit 5 and 6. So if we compare how the performance of the examination, we can see that the candidates in Kenya, the C plus and above, for the year 2022, we had only 19.62% of the candidates who scored C plus and above. And if you compare to the Uganda, the similar level of the exams, we can see it is 61.36% of their candidates can be comparable to what Kenya we are just having 19%. And in Tanzania, it's 36.95%. And for the Zambian education system, it's at 69.31%. So we can see that our education system, our pass level is lower than the 3 countries which we are comparing with. And basing on this, basing on this, we also try to see why is our system candidates not passing that well. So if we look at the way they normally group their subject, for Tanzania, the only subject which is compulsory at the O-level stage is mathematics. And for them, they even refer to it as basic mathematics. So they have a mathematics which is basic, which everybody does. And that is the one which is used in the grading, so that the ones candidates who want to specialize in maybe science courses, they normally now go to what they refer to as an additional mathematics. And additional has some other elements which are not in the basic mathematics. And if we go now to Ugandan system, let's go to the next slide. If we go to the Ugandan system, you get that for them, mathematics and English are the only subject which are compulsory. And after that, the candidate will be, they normally take 12 subjects, but after the mathematics and English compulsory, and they'll all select now the remaining 6 best subjects. Then if we look at the Zambian system, for them is only English which is compulsory. Then the candidates will be graded on the 6 best subjects. So we can see these are some of also the guidelines which are also making them to perform better than Kenyan, because the Kenyans is as if we have so many compulsories. Compulsory in group 1, compulsory in group 2, compulsory in group 3. So it's restricting candidates on that level. Again, we went further and tried to see 844 is an university entry examination. So if we want to compare with now university entry examination, is more of comparing with the A levels. And the semblance for the A levels, even which we had in Kenya some years back, we'll realize that if we compare with the A level, admission at any A levels, at that particular time, students are allowed to specialize in some field. You get that you will either specialize in arts or you specialize in sciences and mathematics. So you can, for the Ugandan system, the region system, you can see that specialization is almost starting also at the O-level stage, where they don't have so many compulsory in all the subjects. So in the A-level, candidates used to sit to select in a field, either arts or humanities. You select 3 or 4 papers, and those who are going for sciences also select 3 or 4 subjects, and that is what was used in the grading. And we used to see during the A-level system in Kenya, and which is still being practiced in Uganda, Tanzania, and Zambia. You get that at that particular point they specialize. Then for the candidates, normally if you get at least 3 principal passes and a subsidiary pass, you have managed to get a university entry qualification. But the good thing is at that particular level, they are already specializing. So let's go to the next. The next one. So for the entry requirement, using the A-level stage, it used also to be that the candidates who are pursuing art courses, they were supposed to, the minimum entry point was 10 points, and those who are pursuing the sciences, the minimum entry for university was 6 points. So for what I've taken you through, now what is more informing of also this recommendation which was given by the Presidential Working Party on education reform. So for the KCSE grading system, the new one which we are now coming up with from the recommendation of the Presidential Working Party, now the overall grade at the KCSE examination will be considered by mathematics, then either English or Kiswahili or Kenyan Sign Language, because we have added Kenyan Sign Language because there are candidates who normally don't take Kiswahili, but they take Kenyan Sign Language. So it will be mathematics, then either the languages English or Kiswahili or Kenyan Sign Language. And after that, the other 5 best perform subject, irrespective of the groups. So in these other 5 best performing subjects, we'll now also be considering if maybe we have already picked English, but Kiswahili is still one among your best performing subjects, we'll still also consider Kiswahili. So it will not be that if we pick one language, we are not picking the other. So it's one, and mathematics is compulsory, then language. Then if, again, one of the languages is still among the 5 best in group 1, 2, and 3. So we tried to do the simulation of the new grading system by applying the results from the last 3 years, 2020, 2021, and 2022. So if you look at the table, you'll see that if we use the new grading system, in the year 2020, we had 893 A's. But if you use this grading system, we were to get 1,363 A's, and 62 A's, which is an increase of 469 A planes. And basically, if we get the percentage of increase in A plane, is 52.52. Similarly, A minus, there is an increase. In 2020, we had 6,420 A minus, but with the new simulation, we get that the A minus will now be 7,190, which is a total of an increase of 770 A minus grades. And if you look at that way, we'll realize that there is an improvement of the number of candidates who are scoring good grades up to C minus. You will see that up to C minus, we are having those who are scoring C minus. You get that in 2020, it's 85,458. But if we apply the new grading at that particular point, we are going to have 88,728, which is an increase of 3,270 candidates, which is a 3.85% increase in the number of the Cs. And you can see that at that, where if we start going now at the C minus and below up to E, now you can see there is a reduction in the number of candidates, which means that now with the new grading system, at least now candidates are going to get advantage on their strong subject area. You can see that at C minus, there's a reduction in the number of candidates. Going that way up to at E minus, also the reduction to candidates. We did the similar one up to the last exam we released 2022. So you can see in 2022, we had 1,146 airplanes. But if this system could be in place when we are releasing these 2022 exams, we could have a total of 1,610 airplanes. That is an increase of 464 more candidates could have scored an airplane last year if we could apply it in the 2022 exams. Similarly, we can see that if we could have applied in 2022, A minus, we could have again more 902 candidates scoring A minus. The same trend is the same as the year 2020, where there is an improvement in the number of candidates up to C plane grades. And from there, we can see now C minus, at least now the numbers start reducing, where we are having the negatives up to the E. If we now, let me now try to get at now the cumulative. Let's go to the next table. For the now, how the cumulative will be appear. So the cumulative, the table gives us the cumulative. Now, the main grades which we normally use when we are releasing the results is the C+, how many candidates are joining university. So for the year 2020, we had only 143,140 candidates, which is 19.09% candidates who scored the minimum entry point for the university, that is C+ and above. But if we could have applied this new grade, the simulation for this new grading system means that the number could have increased to 175,065 candidates, which means that the percentage increased from 19.03 to 23.55%. Similarly, if we look at the grade where we normally say it's now the grade for the candidate who qualified to get a diploma, TVET diploma, it's a C minus. In 2020, the candidate who scored a grade for diploma and above, which is C minus, was 338,052 candidates, which is 44.93%. But with the new simulation, this number will increase to 263,793, which is it will increase to 363,735, which is 48.93%. Now you can see there's an improvement from 44.93% to 48.93%. The same trend goes even to the 2022. We can see candidates who qualified for university, when we release the results in 2022, C+ and above, it was 173,345, which is 19.62. But with the simulation of the new grading system, the number is giving us 199,929, which is 22.79. Similarly, the candidates who qualify for the diploma, TVET diploma, we can see that is C- and above. 2022, we got 387,569 candidates and 67 candidates, which is 43.86%. But if we simulate with the new grading system, the number now increases to 410,660, which is 46.81%. The number of candidates who have qualified for the TVET diploma courses have increased by 3% if we are using the new grading system. So this one is basically to bring out now the issue of the grade counts using the new grading system, because what is coming out is the new grading system, the stakeholders, the public. Sometimes people may think that now, normally when we release, people want to know how many people have scored this grade and above. We can see that we are expecting, when we release the results, an improvement of each grade by at least 3%. So when we are having A's plain of 1,146, with this one could have been 1,610. So basically is telling us also we expect new statistics which will be advantageous to our learner. And we should be happy because the same thing, these are our learners, when they go out, they are competing with students from the other neighboring countries. And the first thing which is normally checked for you to be admitted to a university is, have you attained the minimum entry qualification? When you are going for the diploma, what is the minimum entry qualification for diploma in your country? Have you attained? And after that is when they go now to the cluster subjects. So it will be advantageous also to our learners, because now we'll be at least grading them almost in a similar way with the other countries in Africa, where we are not making several hurdles which makes them not now to attain the overall minimum grade at each and every entry level. So with that, I think with that is what we are expecting in this year grading, we are expecting from this year grading. So what, as Kenya National Examination Council, we wanted to sensitize all the stakeholders on this new grading system and the expectation of the results, because we are intending to implement this new grading system from the year 2023, because according to the Presidential Working Party, the timeline we are given for implementing this was within 1 year. And within that 1 year, the first group is 2023 KCSE examination. So I wish to end my presentation at that level. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, for that presentation. And we can see why we said we need to sensitize you, because for us, this is going to take effect with the cohort that is going to sit for examinations beginning October. So the results will be based on the new grading system. And that's why in our midst, and I'm sorry for not having recognized their presence, we also have the Commission for University Education. We also have the Kenya Institute of Special Education. We have the Kenya National Qualifications Authority. We also have the Technical and Vocational Training Authority. We have Semaster invited. We have the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions, KATI. We have the National Industrial Training Institute, NITA. We have the TVET SEDAC, also in our midst. We have the Kenya School of TVET, which will be changing soon. We have also invited 3 principals and 2 parents from each of the following institutions. We have Moi Forces Academy, St. George's Girls, Kahawa Garrison High School, to represent the different learners. We have the Kenya Teachers Colleges Principals Association. We have the United Disabled Persons of Kenya. And you can see we're talking about the Kenya Sign Language, which will be key when we'll be grading the candidates. We have the Kenya Institute for the Blind within us. We have the Kenya Universities and Colleges Association. And later on, we'll be joined by committee members of the Parliamentary Committee on Education, and then also the chair of the Senate Committee on Education, in addition to the Association of Vocational Trainers, the National Youth Service, the Kenya Education Management Institute, Kenya Medical Training College, Kenya College of Accountancy, Higher Education's Loans Board, the National Youth Service, amongst all the other stakeholders. So it was important that we get to hear. And what is key for us is that we don't have any other way other than implementing, because this is already prescribed, and we are moving. So we are ready, and we are putting into place preparations to ensure that the results that will be released in the month of December are based on the new grading system. So that is the information we endeavored to give you. Are we okay with that? If we are okay, can I just see your hands up if we are okay? Thank you so much. Now we move on to the next presentation. And the next presentation is on examination administration. I will be the presenter for that particular presentation. And the purposes of doing this is for us to dive into some little gritties that we need to understand, so that when we would have the launch, and you'll get to hear some pronouncements in some of the speeches that will be given to us, then you'll be from an understanding point of view. So may I request that we share that presentation. So for the 2023 national examinations, we want to say we are committed as Kenya National Examinations Council, and we want to appreciate each one of you for the key roles that you have played in ensuring that the pre-preparations are undertaken. I want to start off with the examination dates, which we all have, and the timetables have been released. That the KIPSEA KCPE examinations, the rehearsals will be done on 27th of October, while the administration dates still remain to be 30th of October to 1st of November 2023. Now for KCSE, because we are beginning the practicals on 23rd of October, the rehearsals will be done on Thursday, 19th of October 2023, to pave way for the administration of the practicals. We therefore wish to bring this to your attention, that for registration, a total of 3,604,972 candidates were registered for these examinations, with KCSE having a candidature of 903,260. We're almost hitting 1 million. KCPE, 1,415,315 candidates. KIPSEA, we have registered, or we are administering exams to 1,282,574 candidates. KILEA, which is intermediate learning for our special needs candidates, we have a candidature of 3,823. giving us a total candidature this year of 3,604,972. Our concern here is that as we begin the administration of these examinations, in case you come across any issues that may arise out of the registration process, like we've done before, please let us use the command center and the call center telephones that we are going to provide for further guidance. Maybe I should also have brought your attention that now we have all shifted into these premises. All our NEC offices are now housed in South Sea, and we've wound up our offices in Caledonia. And later on, I'd also be telling you of the latest developments about where we'll be taking our scripts. On identification of examinations and assessment centers, we undertook inspection of examination centers, and we have communicated the outcome of the exercise through the sub-county directors of education. Key to note here is that there are some centers who will be saying they should be hosted, and therefore that should be abided to, so that we don't have issues of examination administration. I would like to appeal to our sub-county directors of education that we are requesting your assistance to ensure that any new centers that are applying to be assessment or examination centers, and by assessment I mean KIPSEA new centers, we expect to have KCSE new centers, but KCP we expect to have no new center, because remember this is the last time we are administering. Please note the following deadline, that they should submit their application for 2024 examination centers by 30th of November 2023. Hosting of examination centers with less than 30 candidates. I'm going to get into some details based on the experiences that we got in the last examination administration period. I wish to state as follows, that we brought some changes on board, and we'll be communicating this as we come to the field and also as we interact with you. Key to note is that we are saying an examination center that has a combined candidature of 30 candidates and above for both KCP and KIPSEA should be allowed to retain its premises as an examination center. This is out of the challenges that we encountered last year. So if, for example, a school has 10 KCP and 20 KIPSEA, let them retain their status as an examination center. A KIPSEA center with 30 candidates and above will also retain their premises as an examination center. So you're saying 30 whether KIPSEA, 30 whether KCP, let them retain their status as examination center. Remember, by last year we had said they will be hosted. So we are changing this year. A KIPSEA examination center with 30 and above candidates that may be having adequate facilities, we are saying should be allowed to host other centers, provided they have been assessed and they have the capacity to host. So we are saying, let's try to ease out so that KIPSEA centers can also take on some hosting if they have the capacity. However, on hosting, we noted that there are some centers that were really constrained in terms of the number of centers that are being given to host. And therefore, we are saying no one center should host more than 3 other examination centers. So at maximum of 3 for hosting of examinations. Examination centers in regions that may be encountering insecurity will be exempted from being hosted. This is case by case, and I'm sure we did very well last year, so even this year, we look forward to the same. Any school for special needs learners, and also any integrated schools with learners with severe cases of disability will also be allowed to retain their examination centers. So please take note of that, because last year there were a lot of calls around the same area. We are still retaining the criteria of 5 kilometers away from the nearest examination center for purposes of hosting any examination center that may not fall in the category that I have mentioned. However, any hosted centers must be centers within the same sub-county. We'll not accept that you are crisscrossing across counties to have examinations hosted. Let's try as much as possible to retain them within the sub-county. The host head teacher or principal will be the one authorized to collect examination materials from the container, just like we did last year. So that is on hosting, and if there will be anything that is not very clear, please reach out and we'll be able to clarify further. Key is the issue of mapping. I'm now moving on to identification of the distribution centers and mapping of examination centers to the nearest collection points. And this is where we are saying this is a new thing, and we really need to get it right. And I'm glad we now have the security with us. We have the DCCs with us. We have the sub-county directors, county directors, and regional directors, because we need all of you on this approach on mapping. We have worked very closely, and we have finalized the strategy on collecting materials twice a day. However, where possible, examinations have been aligned in the process. How has it been done? We have mapped examination centers to the containers as follows. Category number 1, we have aligned examination centers to distribution points nearer the container within their sub-counties. And I just want to mention from the word go that we have had additional containers. We have purchased up to 82 containers in addition. And this will be changing the scenario on the ground, and I'm sure we've communicated with you already in the field. And therefore, we are saying we have tried to align these centers within the sub-counties. And as we do this alignment, we have looked at those sub-counties that have several containers, or those that are getting a new container being installed. The process of installation has started, and as per this morning, already 35 containers have been installed, and by end of this week, we should be having additional being installed. So this has started, and we want to confirm that they will be installed. The other mapping category has been in relation to examination centers being mapped not within their sub-counties. And that's why we really need you as stakeholders, so that we can work together as a team. In this category, key considerations were given to 1, the distance that the examination centers were covering, 2, the security, and 3, the terrain. We may not have achieved it 100%, but we've tried to map the examination centers using that category. Now, how do we behave with these centers? Does it mean if I'm, for example, in the sub-county director of Embakasi and my school has moved to a nearby sub-county, then I should let it go? I just want to state it very clearly that it is the responsibility of the sub-county director of the school to coordinate collection and delivery of examination materials for their examination centers, while working closely with the hosting sub-county. So this time, we'll also have sub-counties being hosted. So you'll be hosted, but that does not mean you leave out the responsibility of coordination of the picking of the materials, provision of transport, and even provision of security for that examination center. The responsibility still remains with the mother sub-county. We also have the third category where schools have been mapped outside their counties, because we were really endeavoring to cut down on the time taken to move from the container back to the examination center. We are requesting that the county directors of education, with the examination centers collecting materials from other counties, so we've started with hosting of schools, now we are moving on to hosting of sub-counties, now we are moving on to hosting of the counties. So those of us who will be hosted at the county level, we are requesting that the county directors of education assist us to work very closely with the respective county commanders and the sub-county directors that will be having that examination in their container. At this point, once again, I still want to state that the mother sub-county still takes the responsibility of coordinating the collection and delivery of examination materials while working very closely with the county directors or the regional directors of education. Installation of new distribution centers. We have installed containers or distribution points for all the newly created sub-counties, which we had received by the time we were undertaking registration. Records on our table, we have 12 new sub-counties, and those ones have been taken care of. Those who did not have containers by the last time we were doing examination administration. I'd want to single out a sub-county like Juja, and Juja. I think we have, it's either Juja or we have a container in Githurai. So we have installed those containers for the new sub-counties. In regard to mapping, we have introduced 67 additional containers in cases where the 3 options were not applicable. And remember, this is in a strategy to reduce the distance. Despite all this, we found outlying centers that we were not able to take care of because it was not economical for us to install a container to just take care of one examination center. So what is the way forward for these outlier examination centers? Kenya National Examinations Council is going to put in place an alternative strategy that will be shared with us as the examination period begins. I would like to request the following sub-counties to ensure they have a meeting with me after the launch so that we can discuss a little detail about some of their centers. Turkana East, 21,548. West Pokot, 24,545. Laikipia North, 30,543. Narok East, 32,582. Ijara, 45,804. Habaswein, 46,820. Diff, 46,832. Kuria West, 44,708. And lastly, Laikipia East, 30,543. I would request that as you come for the meeting, please let's also have the respective DCCs being in that meeting, because we're going to discuss something crucial in regard to the containers. We have released timetables, and the timetables are already out with you. We'll be bringing the timetables for the candidates. But key to note is that exams are now going to be conducted in 2 different sessions. We'll have the first exam running from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then we'll have the afternoon sessions running from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. What will be the opening times? And this is now new. We all need to take notes that the containers will be ill, that we work together to ensure that examinations strictly start on time as per the timetable. Identification, vetting, deployment of field officers to be involved in the field administration of national examinations. I want to appreciate that the Teachers Service Commission has already started the deployment of our school teachers to take positions of supervisors and invigilators. However, this year we are having a departure, and we are saying, given that all schools would have closed, we are saying for deployment of supervision and invigilation personnel for KCSE should be drawn from the pool of the secondary school teachers. There's a reason why this is being done, and I'm sure the CEO will pronounce himself on the same. Where there are situations that this cannot apply, then you should get in touch once again for purposes of further guidance. May I disclose that our CP2 system, our contracted professionals system, has been configured to reject any other deployments that may be done. And as we do this deployment, we are further also saying that any supervisors or invigilators who may have supervised in a school in the recent past should not be deployed to those schools. I think we know the reasons why, and also our system will be configured to reject such persons. However, if there are any challenges, then we are also going to provide an email, which is SI, which is supervision invigilation @nec.ac.ke, or the toll-free call center numbers, so that you can be assisted as soon as we can. And if there are any challenges, also reach out to us. Some of you have our numbers, so please reach out so that we can discuss and solve the issue. We'll be undertaking briefing and sensitization, and we plan that this will take place in the week of 2nd to 6th of October. This year, we'd like to insist that if possible, we get all the supervisors and center managers attending the briefing. From our monitoring exercise, reports have been received of incidents where when you are interviewing or trying to get feedback from the supervision or invigilation personnel, some of them tell you that they didn't attend the briefing and therefore they are not aware that what they are doing is wrong. It all begins with what time should you open? Should you indicate the start and end time on the blackboard? What kind of records should they maintain? So we are insisting that once deployment has been done and concluded, we are going to derive the registration attendance lists for the briefing from our system so that we can confirm that all those who are deployed have actually been briefed. However, we agree that there may be challenges during administration, and if there are any changes as we proceed with the administration period, then we request that these officers be briefed well before they are engaged in the respective examination centers. Would want to have a departure on the approach to briefing and sensitization, and we may, in some of the sub-counties, we may have 2 shifts of briefing. We may have a morning session and an afternoon session, depending on the number of personnel. Particularly those of you may be having 350 and above, because we will want to demonstrate some of the activities and some of the records that should be maintained. Occasionally, when we are processing results, we get problems with the results that we may be releasing because a supervisor may have indicated that a candidate was absent, and in real sense, this candidate was present. Cases of hardship which have not been handled very well. Occasionally, we get scripts being misplaced, and looking for them becomes a nightmare, and would really want to outline the procedure or the process of how to manage the hardship cases. There may be issues emerging during examination administration. Please remember, we will give you the toll-free numbers. Use emails as emails like for examination management, you use em@nec.ac.ke. Field administration, where we have supervision invigilation, you use fa@nec.ac.ke. In case of hardship cases, and here I would want us to be very keen, because the other day we had a meeting with the Parliamentary Committee on Education, and there is an issue about these learners that get into labor during examination period. We also have those that may have serious medical conditions during examination period. Our guidance is as follows, that we need to be very keen on the medical cases. The advice will be, let us try to counsel the parents and the children, because for us it's not a must do. They can always defer that exam to the next administration period. We only need to be informed that this learner is not able to sit for exams, and proper arrangements then will be done so that, because it's taking another dimension, that we force children. Sometimes a child does a paper and they, immediately after the paper, they die. So let's assess the situation so that we are taking into consideration up to what level a learner can be allowed to sit for examinations. So those cases of medical and emergency, please let's be on top of it. Packing of candidates' answer scripts, I've mentioned that this will be our point of briefing so that we get the process of how this should be done. Last year we had a bit of mix-ups between KCP and KIPSEA scripts. So we are hoping that this time we'll have a strategy that will enable the mix-ups to be minimized. But we'll come and give you further guidance on how this should be done. And even in regard to deployment of personnel, we have something that we'll be sharing with you later. We'll expect that at the end of the examination period, we are returning the scripts. Some of the scripts will be returned by our officers, but for KIPSEA and KCP, of course, will be returned by the respective sub-county director's office coordination. So we have scheduled that this should happen between 30th of October and 28th of November for the two examinations, KCP, KIPSEA, and KCSE. Our humble request is that we stick to the return schedule so that we avoid causing inconveniences to yourselves. And at this point, allow me to mention that we have shifted to a new premises. We will no longer return scripts to the famous Caledonia, nor to the famous Bolore. We have a new premises, and being educationists, we all know that we have had Jomo Kenyatta Foundation. So we are now currently housed at Jomo Kenyatta Foundation on Enterprise Road, Likoni Enterprise Road, and that is where all the scripts will be returned to. The KCP, KIPSEA, and the last week of KCSE, they'll all be returned to one point, and we look forward to serving you from there. We'll try as much as possible to ensure our systems run smoothly, just like we did in the last academic administration period. Finally, I just want to mention that given that we are all here, we really want to appreciate that we need you at this point, because NEC alone cannot deliver. NEC only has 400 officers, ranging from test development to our support systems of drivers and all that. So we really bank on a lot of support from the field officers, and we are requesting that we seriously undertake the logistical coordination during the exercise, particularly on the issue of mapping, because it means we have to relook at the routes that we may be having and ensure we are coming up with routes that will favor the distribution and collection of materials as may be required. Maintaining security and integrity of examinations. In our midst, we have the Ministry of Interior, and we have also the National Coordination, GAO. We are requesting that we take a leading role in the coordination of this security and ensuring that integrity of examination process is maintained. Of course, in liaison with the Ministry of Education and the Teachers Service Commission. This will include overseeing the deployment of the security personnel and ensuring that the people that are being deployed are able to perform their duties. For Teachers Service Commission, we've already mentioned on deployment of officers and the vetting. We are also saying, let us ensure that the teachers that are being deployed are teachers who are employed and registered and employed by the Teachers Service Commission, so that we can ensure that they are the right people handling these examinations. While you are the field officers, we'll expect that you're also assisting us on monitoring the examinations and closely monitoring to ensure that these exams are being conducted as per the rules and regulations that we have given. Please do this by visiting some of the examination centers, and any issues that you may get can be communicated to us as we proceed. We expect challenges, or particularly the hardship cases that I've mentioned. We may not be on the ground because we are really constrained at that time. I would want to mention, like, when we are administering KCSA, that same time we are also marking KCPE. So sometimes even getting officers in the field becomes a challenge for us. So we are requesting that you be our problem solution providers and assist us to handle the challenges that may emerge as we administer the examination. Where possible, we'll be available to provide guidance and discuss further on any issues that may be beyond your level. As we resolve these issues, we would request that if possible, if they are very unique, then you can always put them in email so that this can be for future record and purposes of future planning. Our call center numbers are going to be operational with effect from today. And these are the toll-free numbers that will be in operation for the 24/7 communication. The main number has been 800-724-900. 800-724-900. We have had other numbers, 0719 029 229. 0719 029 229. I'll give another call center number, 0797 146 835. 0797 146 835. And the last number is 0797 147 335. But in case of these numbers getting really busy, can I repeat? 0797 147 335. Please reach out to us, and our mobile phones should be available for you to get to us. And even our CEO, I'm sure he will come in to confirm the same. He should be able to be reached where you're not getting our NEC officers. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the Examinations Council point of view, all preparedness has been concluded, and we are ready to get into the administration of examinations. In conclusion, I know that this is going to be a heavy task on your part. Assistance to plan and mobilize the available resources in order to meet these expectations. I want to wish you a successful examination administration period. Thank you, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you. So we've come to the end of the first two sessions, and we are awaiting now the arrival of our cabinet secretaries and principal secretaries that will be in this meeting for us to be able to move on to the launch of examinations. Others at that point, then I think we'll give you a break so that when they arrive, we can take back our seats. Thank you so much. The CD Kitui, maybe as we prepare.
Yes, just some clarification, because we have received some question which.
Can I read for you?
Yeah. There's one query which we have received, which somebody was asking if the candidate who are taking 7 subjects, how will they be handled? So today it was more a sensitization. So those who are taking 7 subjects will just be graded on the 7 subjects.
Attention, the CNs has already arrived. So we are being called to take our seats. Attention, the Cabinet Secretary of Education is already here, accompanied by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior. So please, let's take our seats. Yes, sister, how are you?
Use alternative. So much.
So tuongee after this. Attention, please, let's take our seats. Let's take our seats.
For nearly 1 week, there are very few moments in life when people from different backgrounds and cultures get the privilege to network and share useful ideas for nearly 1 week. The 39th AEAA conference was one of these moments, a moment which spurred the spirit of regional integration through educational assessment.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you for this great event that brings together examination boards, researchers, and practitioners in the entire education assessment ecosystem.
The 39th AEAA conference drew close to 400 participants from 20 African countries and around the world with the theme Educational Assessment for Nurturing Every Learner's Potential. By hosting the 39th Annual Conference from 21st to 25th August 2023 at the Safari Park Hotel, Nairobi, Kenya, the Kenya National Examinations Council responded to Africa's need for economic and social integration. In his opening remarks, the guest of honor and Kenya's Prime Minister Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, laid a clear path towards educational assessment for nurturing every learner's potential.
All that remains is to appeal to member countries to institutionalize the sharing of best practices and rich learning experiences to improve assessments.
As assessors, we must be able to look forward to a time when we can leverage on technology. We are aware that quite a number of assessments go on leveraging on technology. There are quite a number of international assessments that are done leveraging on technology. How do we deal with our national assessments? And how do
kept every eye and heart
CS.
glued to the podium. This did set the mood
And
for
then
the conference.
if you have, if you want to go for gents or ladies, I hope you're not listening. I know some of you are getting trouble tracing the ladies and gents washrooms. We have some behind here. Others are at the parking. And our first floor, we also have some. So kindly make use of them. Don't get, okay, don't keep on asking where you're supposed to go. So let's keep quiet, let us be, let's wait for our guests to come.
A candidate who is studying mathematics for the purpose of becoming an engineer be assessed at the same level as a teacher who is going to teach kindergarten. And then, having assessed them at that level of mathematics for engineers, you then award them D, and the engineering student scores A. And this D becomes an albatross around their neck throughout their life. Is it not possible to have a system that talks about mathematics?
Busia, the DCC for Busia, and the Sub-County Director of Education. Then we have the Deputy Director of Sub-County Director of Education for Kieni West, and the DCC for the same. Londiani, Deputy County Commissioner for Londiani, and the Sub-County Director of Education also, to move to that side. Bondo, the Sub-County Director of Education, and the Deputy County Commissioner. Then we have Kutulo Mandera, Sub-County Director of Education for that, from that sub-county, and the Deputy County Commissioner. Please move to that side. We have seats that have been reserved for you before we start the ceremony. Thank you very much.
Pressure from our parents who want us to be who they think we should be. I am crazy about running. I am crazy about music. I am crazy about arts. And for sure, if you don't let me do so, I will sneak out of school and I will leave it. For sure, I'll do that. And the other thing, I must appreciate my mom, because one of the most important things she did, she never stopped me from running. And that's the reason why I'm able to be here in front of you speaking about my story.
So I decided I wanted to convince my dad, this is the path I've taken, and I see music as a career, just like any other career. So one day I decided to invite him in one of my performances, and I asked him to address the crowd, the audience, and he said he was so wrong trying to suppress the daughter's talent. And from that time I got his blessings. And what happened, I opened my career opened, I opened myself to the world. I got invited in so many amazing international platforms to sing for at the Nobel Peace Prize concert, sing for Nelson Mandela, those big events. So, like everybody was asking, where has she been? She sings so well. So my dad, after reading my article, my first article in the papers, she was one proud father. And one proud father. And I remember she bought that newspaper and cut it and kept it. So anytime he had a visitor visiting at home, he would show, this is my daughter,
The spirit of nurturing every learner's potential during the conference was indeed defined by the presentation of papers backed with rich research findings, benchmarking by delegates on educational issues and more specifically on assessment.
There are trainings that those trainers have to obtain. They have to be trained to become internal verifiers. They have to be trained to become, quality assurance people.
The highlight of this conference for me has been the lots of learning that has been happening, meeting new players in the education sector who have like interest, and being part of this workshop through sponsorship. Educate believes in assessment as one of the ways of ensuring that learners are acquiring the skills that have been envisaged in the curriculum design, is it?
Above all, the 39th AEAA conference brought some of educational assessments that responds to every learner.
The quality of education in any country is determined by the quality of assessment. And of course, the quality of any country is determined by the quality of education.
Africa is endowed with very rich and diverse abilities. But the big question we seek to ask ourselves through this conference is whether assessment is playing its rightful role in nurturing all such potential.
At class 4, I started running the cross country. And what was very, very interesting is that I liked the sceneries, because when we could go out there and learn, I was like one of the pupils who didn't want to see anybody ahead. I used to beat all the girls in my school as a grade 4. That I was able to represent my school. I started first representing my school at grade 5. And by doing so, I represented my school in the school championships for the cross country. And when I came back to the school, I remember I had won number 3. And my class teacher then, he really appreciated me so much. And I couldn't, kind of a thing. I could even go to the headmaster, ask for permission to get out there and do a 1-hour run. All I was thinking about was learning. And out of that, I didn't know it was because of one thing, the power of passion. I came to realize that later in life, but with that, it really helped me to get where I am today. I went to Boston Marathon, I won, and I went to Chicago, and I broke the world record, where I did the marathon in 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 47 seconds. So, meaning I broke the barrier for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Drawing as much inspiration from various presentations of the day, the delegates were treated to the best of Kenya's food and entertainment at the Safari Park Hotel in Nairobi, Kenya. Pomp and color, song and dance, joy and laughter, wining and dining together, and the richness of diverse cultures, if not the unity of the African people. And perhaps this splendid moment of food and fun, unwittingly in its simplicity, made comprehensible even the most complex layers upon layers of academic papers presented during the conference.
Governments can also help to structure their curriculum to affect the learning style of these candidates prior to the online testing.
Cambridge Partnership for Education is part of the Cambridge University Press and Assessment Organisation, which is part of the University of Cambridge. It is a very old organisation and has been in existence since the late 1850s. And so we have a very broad range of assessment and education expertise, which we like to share. We work in a very broad number of countries, and our aim is to support and provide education solutions to support curriculum development and review, capacity building, syllabus and assessment design, and a broad range of other issues and matters that our partners ask for.
We want to produce learners who are confident and who are proud of their rich cultural heritage.
Delegates attending the conference got a chance to sample different delicacies of Kenyan music and dances on the menu throughout the conference. This was that rarely ever moment that the sounds of the African drums pulsated the glamorous night constantly.
This is very good. Actually, we've gone to 2 sites. That is the Olkaria geothermal power supply place, and we really enjoyed ourselves. Now we are at the Health Gate, and the experience is very good. Most of the delegates were asking, where is this hell?
Attention,
and
please, let's take our seats.
They have seen the hell.
Our chief
I think
guest
I feel very
is
much
arriving.
at home here, and it's a place I want to visit often.
May I request that we take our seats?
Thank you.
The Nairobi National Park is a unique
Ashans, please
ecosystem
request
because it's the only park in the city
we have
in the whole world.
Our guests are just about to arrive. Please, let's take our seats.
Not many countries have this type of tourist attraction where you see hippopotamus, you see rhinos, you see giraffe, you see different types of monkeys, baboons, and what have you. We are just enjoying ourselves and everybody is happy.
The Hell's Gate National Park is named after a narrow break in the cliffs, once a tributary of a prehistoric lake that fed early humans in the Rift Valley, famous for intense active geothermal activity and a variety of wild animals.
We are kindly
Kenyans
requesting
are
our
very
ushers
very
please
friendly,
to usher us back in. We are beginning the next session.
really free spirited. Like since I came, I felt really at home.
The flame of regional integration has been rekindled. The sights and sounds from this conference will undoubtedly shape the arc of educational assessment towards regional integration. The AEAA delegates have spoken and their voices have been heard.
Fellow scholars and stakeholders, delegates, I wish to emphasize that the Pan-African spirit cannot thrive without the initiatives that purposefully bring the continent together to deliver.
Attention, let us take our seats. Our chief guest is arriving. Let us take our seats. We are requesting that each one of us takes our seats. We recognize the arrival of our cabinet secretary, who is our chief guest. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Let's be upstanding to receive our chief guest. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. We'll remain upstanding.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you. Let's remain upstanding. Reverend Bishop Kasinga, please give us the opening prayer.
Let's pray. Our most gracious Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you for the opportunity to be in this place as education stakeholders, even as we focus at this examination season that has come. We want to pray and commit our lives unto your able hands. We commit our great nation unto your able hands, O God of glory, as we pray for the president and the entire leadership. The Lord, you grant them the grace, the wisdom, and the prudence they require to guide our nation in your will and purposes. Father, we thank you for this forum today. Thank you for the CS and the PS and all our leaders that will address us. We want to commit them unto your able hands, that you will bless them, give them the wisdom and the ability, Lord of glory, to guide us as men and women that you have chosen to participate in this season, even in the governance of the examination, all at the different levels. Father, we thank you and we honor your name. You bless us as we begin, and Father, as we see a good ending, may all the glory and the honor remain yours now and forever. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you. We may now take our seats. Guests, who is our cabinet secretary, our principal secretary. All protocols observed. Allow me, sir, to go through a brief introduction of the invited guests. And allow me also to just praise that we have had the first session and we have gone through the sensitization on the new grading system for the KCSE examinations. We have also taken our stakeholders through our preparedness to administer examinations that will be beginning in the month of October. So at this point, allow me to make some introductions, and I'll begin off in the following order. I will start off with recognizing the presence of these stakeholders that we invited for the purposes of sensitization on the new grading system. We have representation from the Higher Education's Loans Board, if they are present. I'll move on to the Kenya College of Accountancy. Maybe they have just stepped out. We have also invited them. We have the Kenya Medical Training College, who are also invited. We have Kenya Education Management Institute, who are invited. We have the National Youth Service, who are also invited, sir. We also invited the Association of Vocational Trainers. We invited the Kenya National Association of Private Colleges. We have also invited the Kenya Institute for the Blind. We have also invited the Kenya Teachers Colleges Principals Association, if they are present. We have the Kenya Institute for the Blind. We also have a representation from 3 schools, and we invited 3 principals and 2 parents from the following schools. We have Moi Forces Academy, if they are present. We have St. George's Girls, and we have Kahawa Garrison High School. So we have also invited the Kenya School of TVET to be part of this gathering, and TVET CDAC are also in our midst. Within our midst, we also have the National Industrial Training Institute, NITA, and we have also invited the Kenya Association of Technical Training Institutions. We have also invited the Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology in Africa, CEMASTEA. We have Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development. And sir, at this point now, allow me to move to our field officers, and we'll be introducing them in the following order. We have invited officials from the Ministry of Education, the directors from the Ministry of Education who will be introduced later. We also have the regional directors of education. Within our midst, sir, we have the regional police commanders. We also have the TSC regional directors. We also have the TSC directors of education. And we also have the ministry directors of education. Sir, we have invited the deputy county commissioners. And we also have the assistant county commissioners. Maybe for purposes of our guest of honor, just to appreciate the big numbers that we have, may I request that the following field officers, please, you be upstanding once I call on you. So could we have the Ministry of Education field officers, ranging from the regional directors of education, the county directors of education, and the sub-county directors of education, just to be upstanding so that we can now wave at our guest of honor. Thank you. Then we have the Teacher Service Commission. We have the TSC regional directors, TSC county directors, and the TSC county directors. We can be upstanding just for our guests to appreciate. So allow me to move on to the other field officers who are the regional commanders, the deputy county commissioners, and the county commissioners, and then we have the assistant county commissioners. We could be upstanding, sir, so that we can appreciate the numbers. Thank you. Lastly, sir, may I request the Kenya National Examinations Council officials, please. Let's be upstanding. We are the hosts, so that we can say we are ready to administer the exam. We are still engaged in examination preparedness processes, and some of us are still engaged elsewhere, and also still doing other duties. Thank you. At this point, sir, allow me to invite our CEO, Dr. David Njengere, to take over the program and steer the other introductions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Imelda. The Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, Honorable Ezekiel Machogu, the representative of the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the representative of the Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Information, Communications and Digital Economy, our Principal Secretary for Basic Education, Dr. Belio Kipsang, the Chair of the NEC Council, Professor Nyabundi, members of the NEC Council, TSC CEO, Dr. Nancy Macharia, the CEO, CAK, Dr. Wambua, who is here with us today, and I'll shortly be saying why I'm very excited, CS, that Dr. Wambua is here with us. I think 90% of our problems in exam administration are social media related. So when Dr. Wambua is here, all our problems are over. Directors from the Ministry of Education headquarters, led by the Director General, regional, county, and sub-county directors, both from the ministry and TSC, regional police commanders, deputy county commissioners, assistant county commissioners, representatives of Teachers Association, I've seen Mr. Indimuli around, the NEC staff, and CS allow me to request this audience to appreciate the NEC staff. I didn't hear you clap for them. You know, CS, last year was the first time that NEC administered exams and assessments to over 5 million candidates. That is totally unprecedented, and these people did it in 1 year. So I think they need to stand up and get a nice applause from you people. Please applaud this staff. They did a lot of work. They are great, they are gallant, and they are very committed. I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you all to this year's stakeholder meeting, where we have combined two agendas. First is the new grading system for the KCSE, and the CS will be giving us further directions on how to apply that grading system. And then the launch of the 2023 National Examinations and KPSEA Summative Assessment. The Council would like to sincerely thank you all for your support and tireless efforts towards the 2022 National Examinations. That the Council was able to deliver these exams is courtesy of your dedication, support, and teamwork in the entire process. The Kenya National Examinations Council, CS, has implemented the policy directive you gave us earlier in the year to make sure we eliminate all forms of prior exposure of the second session paper. That has been our biggest challenge. You all know that. And the one strategy that we have planned for implementation is that with effect from this year's exams, the collection of the KCSE examinations papers will be done twice from the container. The Council has mapped all examination centers to the nearest distribution point so that every school is able to pick its examination papers more efficiently. The mapping of examination centers will mean that some centers, and that is why we are happy that the Ngao is here, will pick their examination materials from neighboring sub-counties or neighboring counties. So that's the area where we will be engaging immediately after this launch on how we will make it very efficient. The Council will use 576 distribution centers, these are what we call commonly containers, for storage of KPSEA and KCP examinations, and we will use 567 containers for the distribution of the KCSE papers. The Council has acquired an additional 82 containers to make sure we facilitate this process, especially because we have 13 newly created sub-counties which did not have containers. To enhance security of the examination process, please note that no unauthorized person will be allowed in any examination center except the center managers, supervisors, and invigilators. Please help us to enforce that to the letter, that the only persons who should be in the examination center are the center managers, deputy center managers, supervisors, invigilators, and of course, the candidates. Center managers will also be required to prepare a list of all support staff on duty, and those lists have to be submitted to the sub-county directors of education before the start of the examination period. The Kenya National Examinations Council will be mounting a comprehensive briefing and sensitization of all the persons involved in administration of the examinations from the 2nd to the 6th of October. We are appealing to all of you that you attend these briefing sessions in person. Please do not delegate. Attend in person so that we can all read from the same page in as far as the administration of the examination is concerned. We will also be embarking on our usual monitoring of the examinations, and we want to encourage all of you to make sure that when the examinations start, you go around the centers to ensure there is strict adherence to the procedures and regulations of exam administration. We are aware that we are likely to experience challenges because of the weather, especially because of the El Nino, and we have planned sufficiently for that to make sure that exams are not disrupted because of that challenge. The question of insecurity, we are engaging with the regional commanders so that the pockets that may have security issues are also addressed adequately. With those very many remarks here, I wish now to invite the chair of the NEC Council to come and make his remarks, and thereafter invite Dr. Macharia. Thank you.
The whole world is here. The Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education, Honorable Ezekiel Machogo, the Cabinet Secretary, Interior and National Administration, represented here today by the PS, Dr. Molo, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Information and Communication, also duly represented here, Principal Secretary, Department of Basic Education, Minister of Education, Dr. Belia Kipsang, and other PSS present, Kenya National Examination Council members present, and I would request them to stand so you can recognize them. Members of NEC Council, there they are. Please, let's clap for them. Chief Executive Officer of NEC, Dr. David Njagere, who has just talked very ably. Teacher Service Commission Secretary, Dr. Nancy Macharia. Other CEOs present, directors from the Ministry of Education and the Teacher Service Commission, regional, county, and sub-county directors, regional police commanders, deputy county commissioners and assistant county commissioners, representatives of Teachers Association, and I can see Kahi here, representatives of the NEC staff, and all invited guests. Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you all once again to New Mitihani House, South Sea. You may not have had the chance to walk in there, but this is a New Mitihani House. It looks new inside there. And knowing the history of this house, I believe you are appreciating what you are seeing. I welcome you most sincerely for honoring the invitation to the launch of the 2023 National Examinations period. As we do that, I wish to appreciate and share with you our indebtedness in the support you gave us in the last examinations, that is the 2022 examinations, because we anticipate similar or better support. We had over 400,000 contracted professionals engaged for the field administration of that exam, as well as over 35,000 examiners. I therefore take this early opportunity to appreciate all of you for the support accorded to NEC. Through your support, we were able to successfully administer, mark, process, and release examinations results within the scheduled time in 2022. We expect to meet that standard or preferably do even better. Regarding 2023 examinations, I wish to assure you, our Cabinet Minister, or Cabinet Secretary, together with your counterparts here, and all Kenyans at large, that the Council, as a Council, we have undertaken all internal pre-administration processes that in the 2023 national examinations, there has not and there shall not be any leakage of any examinations. And time and again, the press comes out with all sorts of stories. Today, let the person who has exams for 2023 come forward and say that he has the exam. Because many times people talk about leakages, when you challenge them to give you, they have nothing to show. So I want to assure you that we have taken all the precautions and there's no opportunity of any leakages. NEC has maintained its stringent standards and quality control throughout the entire process. The Council is also prepared and ready for marking of the national exams to be undertaken between November and December 2023, so as to ensure the proper marking, processing, and timely release of the examinations once again. As already mentioned, the Council has purchased more containers and undertaken mapping of distribution centers to ensure schools are able to pick from the nearest centers. This will ensure an efficient and smooth administration, as issues of distance and terrain have been fully taken care of. I wish to point out that over the past 6 years, the Council has put in place various measures to ensure or to enhance credibility and security of examinations. Notwithstanding, we still encounter attempts to erode this achievement or these gains time and again. To this end, the Council and Ministry of Education has been working closely with the ministries and related security agencies to address these challenges. And with their support, we are set to administer credible examinations in 2023. As I conclude my remarks, I wish to mention that the Council, like many of the government or organizations, is operating under financial constraints. You are all aware of the rising costs of materials, including fuel, and other materials related to examination processing. We therefore urge all parties concerned and appeal that we all exercise prudent use of limited resources, even as we ensure that the examinations are optimally administered. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to urge you to conduct the 2023 examinations diligently, having in mind that we are all doing this for the sake of our country, our children, and our future. With these remarks, I now wish to invite Dr. Nancy Macharia, the Secretary of TSC, to make her remarks.
Thank you very much, Professor Nyabundi. There's a small change in the program. We will first invite the CEO, ICT Authority, to make some remarks on behalf of the ministry, and thereafter Dr. Macharia. And I also want to apologize to Dr. Moria for not having acknowledged her in the...
Thank you very much. Our Cabinet Secretary, PS, is present. Please allow me to adopt the protocols already established earlier in the interest of time. Colleagues in the education sector, good morning. Good morning once again. I'll take a very short time. First of all is to convey the greetings of our Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Eliud Owalo, but also to pledge our support as a ministry and also as the ICT authority to the education sector, particularly this time when you're preparing to go through the examination. But from a broader context, we are working very closely with the Ministry of Education to scale the use of technology in our learning institution. You're aware that a couple of years back we were implementing a project called the Digital Literacy Program in our primary schools. We have taken time to go through what worked in that program and what did not work. We deployed over 1 million devices in all our primary schools, close to 23,000 of them. We are aware that a number of us, in those who support the primary schools, have continued to use those devices, and we shall continue to support that initiative. We are now working on phase 2 of that program because we believe as a ministry we've been charged to drive what we are calling the digital economy, and we believe that the education stakeholders have a huge role to play in order to prepare our young people to be able to participate in that digital space when they get to the workforce. And therefore, we are working with a number of people in the academia to not only enrich the curriculums for the young people in the primary schools, but also the public sector workforce, which includes yourselves, because you cannot be able to support the education system or the education sector properly if we do not empower you with digital skills. And therefore, we have an elaborate program where we are targeting to train 20 million Kenyans, the adult population, with the digital skills. We shall continue, CS, to support the sector in terms of providing connectivity to all schools. We have identified and mapped about 40,000 to be done in the next 3 to 5 years in line with the directives that we've been given to implement the digital superhighway. We call upon the stakeholders in the room to support us, but also to help us to protect the infrastructure that we are laying in the schools and in the communities where you live. With those few remarks, I really want to thank you, and I wish all of us a successful planning, but also examination period. Thank you very much.
Our chief guest, the CS Education, Honorable Ezekiel Machogo. I wish also to ride on the protocols that have been done before in the interest of time. And therefore, I wish to start by committing that the TSC and all its staff and teachers will give the upcoming national examinations our full support to ensure that this is a massive success. I wish to assure that, Honorable CS, that as part of our measures to ensure that the last phase of the preparations for the national examinations are successful, all TSC field officers who are currently on leave must resume duty on October 16th, 2023. So the RDs ensure that all our officers are there so that we give support to the logistics and everything and make this a successful year, examination phase this year. For the purpose of the 2023 national examinations, the TSC has vetted over 223 teachers who will serve as supervisors and invigilators, while that 7,731 will perform the role of examiners. Honorable CS, we wish to assure you that we have vetted these teachers and we have given the best to ensure that all goes well. All the 71,760 center managers will attend sub-county briefings, as you have heard the CEO NEC say, that NEC will mount countrywide in the first week of October 2023. As an employer, ours is to ask you that whenever NEC calls upon you, please do attend these meetings in person and do not delegate. Center managers will ensure that double collection of morning and afternoon session papers is done without compromise to any examination procedures. I know our center managers are very senior teachers in this country, and I know they will do their best to ensure that this is done. The other issue is that we are asking our field officers to ensure that no supervisor or invigilator is retained in the center they served in during last year's national examinations to ensure annual rotation of staff. I think this is something we had already agreed on. Ensure that if there was a supervisor in a certain center, then this year they are not taken back to avoid a lot of issues. During the period, again, as the CEO NEC has said, of the examinations, only center and deputy center managers will be required to be in school. So I hope all this can be taken care of so that no issues are reported to the employer, and so that we ensure a smooth running of these examinations. But on the issue also of the supervisors and invigilators, let me emphasize there are some logistics, I think, that we must observe. For example, where we have schools where you must cross a river, you know those schools, to go to the other side, or some water mass, or something like that. Please, let us have supervisors and invigilators from that ridge. You get what I'm saying? So that should we have issues like we usually have, then you don't have all the teachers again trying to cross to go to the other end, and vice versa. So invigilators should be from that. I think we understand each other. You know, we have done this job for quite a bit, so that we keep these logistics simple and seamless. As a commission, we wish to thank all teachers profusely for the excellent work they continue to do to ensure all candidates are fully prepared and are ready for the upcoming national examinations. As a commission, we can never pay you enough. We can only pray that God blesses you and He continues to see you through as we add even more, even as we give you more work. Lastly, I wish all the candidates the very best as they prepare for the 2023 examinations. Thank you very much indeed for listening to me. As I invite the PS Belio, let me also request that our field officers, once this is done, they remain behind, and I think Lillian is around, the Deputy Director in charge of staffing, where we shall be discussing some issues. Sorry for that hiccup. Welcome, PS Belio.
Asante sana Nancy, unajua mwalimu mkuu akikusahau, but we are okay. Asante sana, thank you very much. The Cabinet Secretary for Education, who is our chief guest this morning. My colleague PSS, PS Esther Moria, my colleague from the Ministry of Education, and our PS for TVET, our colleague from the Ministry of Interior, PS Raymond Omolo, the CEOs present, the CEO and the chair of the National Examination Council, and all the council members, the CEO Teacher Service Commission, our other CEOs present. Specifically, I would want to mention the Acting Director General for Communication Authority, and Stanley from ICT Authority, all my colleagues from government, colleagues from the field, both from Teacher Service Commission and my other colleagues from the Ministry of Education, our brothers from the fourth estate, and all of us here in today. Today we are here for a very critical and very important session. And today's session is the session of our Cabinet Secretary to be able to guide us as we move forward into the next level. But before I can invite the Cabinet Secretary, I would want to thank all of us who have been partners in this particular exercise, and we continue to be partners in this particular exercise, our colleagues from the Ministry of Education, our colleagues from the Teacher Service Commission, our colleagues from the Ministry of Interior National Administration, and I would want to most sincerely thank our police officers and all the security framework that we have worked with them, because they started before ourselves. And we would want to most sincerely thank you. Our colleagues from the Ministry of ICT for the work that you do to make sure that we are able to do all the things that we must do. And all of us who have participated in this exercise, our colleagues from the fourth estate, sometimes you play a very important role. Sometimes you are the people who tell us where there are problems before even our colleagues in the field are able to identify some of the challenges that are there. So we would want to most sincerely thank you for supporting us to that extent. But I would want to say we are all doing this for ourselves and for our children. We are doing this for the future, because when we deal with our children's rights, then we are anchoring the future of our country, we are anchoring the future of this club. So once again, we say thank you, and anyway, it's a duty to all of us to make sure that the future is well taken care of. So once again, we look forward to this year's examination. The CEO has already given us that the CEO, both Examination Council and TSC have told us that this time we shall be visiting that place twice, and you know where that place is, but we are ready for it. I can assure you that we shall do it together. We shall be there to be able to make sure that the integrity of what our children are doing is maintained. Again, thank you. I think this year we are back to the normalcy. This is the first time in 2 years or 2.5 years that we shall be doing a single exam in a year at the right time. So once again, it has given us time. It has given us time to build the energies that is expected so that we can work together. Just like the CEO Teacher Service Commission has communicated to staff in the Teacher Service Commission, I would also want to ask all our officers, both in the field and at the headquarters, that any one of us who is out on leave, that we resume our official duties until we clear with the examination period. So there will be no new people going on leave, and those of us who are on leave, we shall require ourselves to make sure that we work for our children. We shall be visiting you in the field so that we can be able to engage and appreciate. Already Nancy has mentioned, and I know this, my colleague from the Ministry of Interior will guide us on this one, on the whole question of El Nino. I know I was with our team in the coast, and we all agreed on the mapping so that we are careful with the rains. But we shall be able to join you in the field so that we can engage ourselves and guide ourselves on the way forward. I want to assure our teachers, I want to assure everybody that we are adequately resourced for purposes of the examinations. And that we apologize for the delays that may have arisen in the last examination cycle, mainly in terms of payments of our contracted professional staff, and want to assure you that going forward, we are adequately resourced and that we shall be able to take care of all the requirements and make sure that our staff who will be in this particular exercise are paid at the right time for the work that they will have done. Once again, I know the Cabinet Secretary will be taking us through the review of the way that we grade our KCSE to address some of the challenges that we have had for a very long time, to address the question of certification, the question of grading, and the question of placement. So once again, CS, I would not want to say much beyond that particular point. Let me request that before I invite you, I would want to invite my colleague, Dr. Raymond Omolo, who is the PS for Interior National Government Administration. Karibu PS.
Thank you, PS Belio. To our chief guest today, my brother CS Ezekiel Machogu, my PS colleague Dr. Esther, CEOs present, and all the leaders who are here, because I think this is a stakeholder engagement for the leaders in the education fraternity, including some of us from the Ministry of Interior. We are also learners. Good morning. Good morning once again. Now, first of all, I would want to congratulate all of you, particularly the teachers, in the sense that it's been a long year. There's been a lot of work that has gone into preparing our students for the most defining exam of their lives, at least at this point in their education career. And it's not a very easy task to undertake as a teacher, trying to mold students to be the best. And we've got to a point where you've done all that is needed, and it's just now to do the final touches so that we have a successful examination undertaken. So we all congratulate you for the work that you have done and the work that you continue to do. And I also want to congratulate the Ministry of Education, because again, you're coming from a very difficult period. There was COVID, there was a lot of pressure to condense so much, and you've been able to steer the country back to normalcy in so far as our education system is concerned. And also the new processes that has been spearheaded by the ministry under the leadership of the president, in that we are redefining how education is being undertaken in this country at every level. So it is something to be proud of, and you continue to do a good job. I also want to congratulate the team that is charged with running the examination, led by the chair, Professor Nyabundi, and the CEO is here. And our work is to support that process to ensure that the examination is done in a conducive environment. Our brothers and sisters in the Fourth Estate are able to give us a good account, so that we don't end up with a lot of issues that brings the credibility of the entire exercise into question. Now, on behalf of my minister, Professor Kindiki, and the ministry, we are here to discharge our role of supporting the Ministry of Education in ensuring that this exercise is done to perfection. And my colleague PS Belio has already spoken to some of the teams that are involved in this exercise, led by our brothers within the National Police Service, the rank and file, and the regional commanders are here. And I would just want to request that they stand up so that we acknowledge and appreciate them. Thank you. Now, we are forecasting that there is going to be El Nino, and already there are plans that are being put in place across the entirety of government, so that we are able to deal with the effects of that. And what we'll be looking to providing is availing the necessary information so that we are able to better plan, and where there is need to do emergency response, we are able to properly get it done. And even when we'll have instances that we've not foreseen, the team is adequately prepared to react at short notice so that our students don't have undue delays in undertaking or performing what is expected of them during the exam period. And our role in terms of just supporting in the coordination of the entire framework for the administration of the exams. We are giving you that assurance that we will support, and we will continue to work and engage closely so that in the days leading to the formal exam period, there will be need for a lot of engagements. And PS and the CEO talked about personal presence in terms of not delegating some of these responsibilities. So this is the assurance that we are giving you from the ministry, that would make sure that our officers in respective jurisdictions are personally present and they participate, and they will also be able to give feedback on where things needs to be sorted out. I'd want to stop there and wish all of you a successful exercise as we go into this critical period of delivering the exams for our sons and daughters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, I would want to thank all of you, and before I invite the Cabinet Secretary, I would want to take this opportunity to request my colleagues, P.S. Moria, to make some comment, and thereafter we shall request the Cabinet Secretary to come on. Karibu P.S.
Thank you, PS. My boss, the CS Education, my colleagues, Drs. Belio and Omolo, the CEO NEC, and all other protocols observed, everybody present, good morning. Habari zenu? I think my colleague, PS Belio, just wanted me to stand here and pronounce that yes, I'm in support of you. Anything and anybody that you will need in the course of this exercise, even when you need me, I and myself, I'll be overly available to support you. We in the Ministry of Education have agreed that we are going to work as a unit. Why? Because this is about our children, and we need tomorrow's generations well crafted. From my end, my mandate and responsibility is to ensure that our youth that you are taking care of at this stage come up and I skill them for the local and international engagements. As I sat here, I saw a request from the government of Australia, but I'm checking whether it is authentic, requesting for a large number of skilled workers who they want, I don't know why, from Kenya, and that's why I'm saying I am checking the authenticity of that post. But what I am trying to say is that as a ministry CS, we have a big responsibility about and for our youth, and that is why I am restating that we have agreed to work together, because this country must be taken to the next level of development, and we who are sitting here are very critical in that way. So thank you very much for hearing me. I am here and ready to work together with everybody. God bless you.
Thank you very much. I think now I'll take this particular opportunity because this was the day that the Cabinet Secretary is to guide us forward. And you know, as we sit here, and my colleague Raymond was able to make those comments, is that we have a CS that we share because he lived most of his life in that particular part of the world that Raymond is taking care of. And I remember one time when we were launching an examination like today, our late General Nkaiseri told us that the problem was with Raya, and Raya were ourselves the education officers. But I think now that we have a CS who was not a Raya at one time, we should be okay. So, Karibu Wasiri.
Dr. Esther Moria Tibet, the Chairman, Kenya National Examination Council, Julius Nyabundi, who is here, the CEOs present, my friend from Communication Authority, Dr. Wambua, I can see my CEOs, all of them are here, the directors of education, the regional police commanders, and all of us. Good afternoon. Is it good afternoon? Good morning. Good morning once again. Thank you very much. I'm happy that we are back here again after 1 year. We were here 1 year ago where we went through the process that we are undergoing today again. And first and foremost, I really want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of us here, each and every one of you for what you were able to do in 2022. Asante sana na makofi kwenu jameni. On behalf of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and on my own behalf, the Minister of Education, what you did in the year 2022, both exams, because we had exams like no another year. I think you did very well, and I want to commend you. I want to thank you because it was you, and because of you, that you were able to offer Kenyans the best exam ever. Don't worry what the people say or what few people said. I want to confirm to you that actually what we gave was credible, what we gave was not interfered with at any given stage, and it is because of your responsibility and the role that you played both individually and collectively that we were able to give Kenyans the very, very best. This year again, we are back to it, and as you know, my colleagues in internal security, who is represented here, Professor Kindiki, by my friend the PS, my friend Eriod Owaro, and the entire government really. This is a national exercise that each and every government sector and each and every government department comes in to participate and play a very key role for the success of this national exercise. I will also like to thank our teachers. We went through the examination centers last year, and what they did, going through the papers until finally we were able to get the results, was quite commendable. I thank them. There was a little bit of a delay in paying their dues, but I'm happy that we were able to clear that. We paid all the dues, and going forward, we have been able to make the necessary arrangements this year, and the kind of program that we had last year is not going to be there this year. And the more you are here, assure your teachers countrywide that we have made all the necessary arrangements with the National Treasury, and we'll be able to make sure that payment is done in good time. Like we have done over the last 6 years, the administration of the national examinations would adopt a multi-agency approach reflecting a whole of government response to ensure the examinations are administered as efficiently and effectively as possible. I look forward to even greater success during the 2023 examination season, in line with our determination to ensure that our education system examinations and assessment remain credible for us to achieve the development envisaged in the Kenya Vision 2030. Today's function brings together key players who will oversee the 576 examination, storage, and distribution centers countrywide, and the representatives from other stakeholder institutions who are gathered to engage with the Kenya National Examination Council on the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms regarding grading of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination. The recommendations contained in the report of the Presidential Working Party on education reforms that was received and released by His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, are a key in guiding the education sector in Kenya. Allow me to highlight some of the recommendations that need immediate attention to guide the implementation of basic education. And we have the privilege of ensuring that implementation of each and every aspect of the recommendations contained in that report is actually done and implemented. Before coming here at this meeting, I had the ministerial committee which is responsible for ensuring that we implement this morning at KICD, and one of the aspects that we have looked into and agreed as a team to implement is what I'm going to inform you here. And there are so many aspects which we have also undertaken implementation, because we have divided that report into various categories. One such category is issues which can be implemented, which we say administratively, which does not require any further scrutiny, and we are undertaking immediate implementation of those aspects. There are other aspects that we have formed various working teams which are also looking into those particular issues and coming up with the necessary guidelines and the policy direction as to how we will be able to implement that. And there are other issues where we have a legal committee which is doing the drafting so that the issues can also be taken to Parliament for discussion and implementation. Otherwise, as of now, we are also in the process of coming up with the sessional paper which we will subject to stakeholders' engagement before it gets cabinet approval, and finally also to go to Parliament. So one such area that we have been able to agree to implement immediately is concerning the new grading structure that we will be able to implement with effect from this year's exam 2023. And the effect of this, there will only be 2 mandatory subjects which will be required for purposes of computing the mini grade. As you are aware, previously we had 5 mandatory subjects across the cluster groups, that being mathematics, English language, Kiswahili, 2 sciences, and 1 humanity. In the new grading system that will be applied to the 2023 KCSE examination, the only 2 mandatory subjects will be mathematics and 1 language, either English language, Kiswahili, or Kenyan Sign Language. In addition to the 2 mandatory subjects, the Kenya National Examination Council will consider another 5 best performed subjects. If one is good in sciences and he does well in other science subjects, that is what will count. Or if one is good in humanities and he scores highly in humanities, that is what will count in the final assessment. It is expected that the new reform measure will increase the number of students qualifying for universities, a diploma and a TVET training at the certificate and arts levels. As you are aware, last year we had 173,000 of the students who qualified to our public universities, C+ and above, And with the new grading, which was 19.3% of the total number that did the exam that year, with this new grading structure, we hope that the percentage might be slightly higher than it has been in other previous years. The review of minimum entry requirements for pre-service teacher education is underway for the diploma in primary teacher education and diploma in early childhood teacher education. The teacher trainees will now be admitted under reviewed subject class requirements and grades. The Working Party recommended leveraging on technology at all levels of education by developing ICT infrastructure for curriculum and improved digital literacy among teachers, parents, and other stakeholders. In this regard, NEC, in line with the global trends and the expectations of the 21st century, has incorporated digital literacy by ensuring that the assessments for teacher trainees are conducted electronically. This will entrench digital literacy among the teachers and provide skills that the teachers can impart to the learners in our schools. It is worth noting that the digital literacy is one of the core competencies that learners are expected to acquire under the CPC and a key target needed to ensure Kenya's industrial development. The rationalization of the number of learning areas and the curriculum design in terms of scope, integration of subjects within a learning area, gaps, content overload, and overlaps in basic education is ongoing and shall be announced soon to guide the implementation of the competence-based curriculum and the competence-based assessment. I wish to appreciate the support that was accorded to my ministry by my counterparts in the Ministry of Interior and National Administration and the Ministry of Information, Communication, and the Digital Economy during the 2022 examinations and assessments. I want to reiterate that the steadfast support they gave my ministry was critical in ensuring a successful 2022 examination season. May I also acknowledge the support accorded the Ministry of Education by the Presidency and all the Cabinet Secretaries, many of whom participated in the national monitoring exercise of the examinations. I wish to assure the public that engagements on matters relating to the effective administration of the 2023 national examinations and assessments with other ministries are on top gear. I urge all personnel who will take part in the national examinations to dispense their duties with utmost professionalism in line with set guidelines. In particular, all those who will be engaged in the management of this year's examinations and assessments must uphold integrity while executing their roles and remain vigilant to deter any form of malpractice. My ministry will ensure that appropriate action will be taken against officers who contravene the rules and the regulations put in place. The government will not spare any person found to be abetting cheating in examinations. In March this year, we engaged all stakeholders concerning the conduct of examinations. The stakeholders agreed on mapping of examination centers to the nearest distribution centers to improve the efficiency of examinations administration. Further, it was agreed that from this year, KCSE examination materials will be collected from the distribution centers twice daily. Circulars regarding these changes were sent to the sub-counties, and I am sure this information has been cascaded to the appropriate officers for adherence. Security shall be beefed up in areas that are prone to insecurity to ensure that all the candidates undertake examinations and assessments in a conducive environment. The government is keenly monitoring the weather forecast reports to ensure necessary measures have been put in place to deal with any unfavorable conditions that could threaten the smooth delivery of the examination materials to some centers. We assure all Kenyans, parents, guardians, teachers, and candidates that the 2023 examination and assessment materials are safe and secure. I urge the public to be wary of unscrupulous individuals who could want to con and sell fake examination materials to unsuspecting candidates and the parents and the guardians. Candidates should rely on the knowledge they have acquired while running and desist from being involved in unethical activities towards cheating in examinations. Finally, I wish to thank everyone who has always been involved in this process for their commitment to ensuring the successful conduct of the national examinations and assessments. It is now my honor and privilege to declare the 2023 National Examinations and Assessment Season officially launched. Yeah, thank you very much. One final remark. Kindly, those of us who are here, let us take each and every assignment given to us in a very serious manner, because Kenya is recognized, Kenya is known for the best education system, and what we are able to offer, may it be in America, may it be in Europe, it is recognized as one of the best. The other day, we were in Harvard University for the last 2 weeks. Those people in Harvard thought I should be able to know slightly more than what I know, so they took me back to school for 2 weeks. And as we were comparing notes with my brothers and sisters from other countries in the world, because we were ministers from Latin America, from countries in Africa, and the countries in Asia. Indeed, quite a number of them were able to appreciate and accept that the Kenyan system and what it is able to offer is one of the best. Once, even Kenyans in the diaspora, because I did interact with the Kenyans in Boston and also interacted with quite a number of Kenyans who are in Minneapolis, Minnesota. A number of them confided in me that actually they prefer that their children attend school here, particularly in basic, and then join them later on at higher levels in the university. Why? Because our education system, compared with others, including what we have in the developed countries, is one of the top, is one of the best. And the kind of reforms we are undertaking this time around is even going to make it better. The competence-based curriculum, and we are very, very steadfast in ensuring that we must be able to undertake these reforms so that our education is the very top, best. None will be able to compete with us. African countries, as we were comparing notes, I think a number of them will be coming here to take notes what is happening in Kenya, and they go and do the same in their respective countries. Indeed, even one example was given. Those who wanted to go for nursing in America and the other countries, when examinations were administered, our nurses stand 62% were top, and when the second other country, I think, was Finland, another country which was second, but Kenya was number one, meaning that including in those particular professions, we are doing the very best. So Kenyans, let us not have doubts in our own system. Let us not be critical. Let us not be negative, because, as I've said, when you compare with the rest, I think we are doing better. As I've said this year, and I want that message to go to all our teachers, I know there was a little bit of a delay last year. We have been able to come up with the necessary arrangements this year, and we want to assure those who are going to come as examiners that we will be able to pay in time, because right from the very top in this government, National Treasury is involved in this, and we will be able to do better than all the other years. We will be coming out in the field. We're going to divide ourselves into various groups. I will be in one group, my PSS will be in others, and all the senior officers. So we will be seeing you in the field and have the confidence that this year moving forward, we will not be able to have any such problem. And that's why I said we increase the number of containers and we also avoid early exposure such that the distance in the forward is not so far apart. And we have also been able to cater for that additional expense so that we make sure where there were cases of early exposure, this year moving forward, we will not have any such case of early exposure. And our students are well prepared. Let one get whatever he deserves to get. Let no one be involved in any kind of malpractice. Again, we have ensured that there will be no room for such malpractice. So kindly do your best. So we wish you the best and continue working hard. As I said the last time, we are actually in the process. My PS is here. This financial year, last year, there was a little bit of a problem and there was money with the exchequer because I undertook, and the government undertook, His Excellency, the President said, we have to give you vehicles. So tulisema hivyo. Yeah, sub-county directors, that arrangement is still on, and I think very soon, most likely before the end of the year, once we procure the vehicles, we will have His Excellency the President to flag them off so that they come to your respective sub-counties, because at this particular level, we can only be effective if you are effective at that particular level. And kindly make sure that you get the directives being given from the ministry each and every time, the pronouncements that the government makes, and particularly the ongoing reforms. I'm sure each and every one of you by now must have gotten a copy of the Presidential Working Party report on education reforms, and most likely also in another 1 month also, once the sessional paper undergoes the necessary stakeholder engagement, the copy will be ready. Make sure you get those copies, because there are many areas that you require to know. You don't have to get it from another person, so make sure you get yourself a copy. And once we also come up with the other document, the sessional paper, also make sure you get the copy. So thank you very much, good people. Continue doing the good work. And in this particular exam, 2023, NEC, Njengere, thank you very much for the work well done. Plus the entire staff of NEC and the chairman, we hope that we will be able to continue the same and even do better this year. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir, for those remarks. Can we give him another round of applause? Thank you. So we are going to request that you preside over issuance of some of the padlocks to some of our regions. I hand over to this.
We'll be requesting the persons from the various regions to do the ceremonial receiving of the padlocks. The first one will be from Coast, Malindi. We will have the DCC David Lusava and Sub-County Director of Education Rashid Roba. Kindly step forward and receive your padlocks. Let's appreciate the CS as he hands over. Next will be Eastern, Mboni West, and we will request the PS Interior to hand over the padlocks to Mboni West. That is Stanislaus Apuoka and Susan Kendi. Please queue. Yeah, the first one is for Coast, Malindi. That is being handed over by our CS to David Lusava, that is the DCC, and Sub-County Director of Education, Rashid Roba. Thank you very much. Yes, we appreciate it. Next is Eastern Region, and that is Mboni West. You will receive your padlocks from the PS Interior. That is Stanislaus Apuoka and Susan Kendi. Next will be Central. Kieni West, you will receive from PS Belio. Kieni West. Bonnie West. That was Stanislaus Apuoka and Susan Kendi. Yeah. Please be sure you pick the right padlock, because if you pick the wrong padlock and the wrong key, then the container will not open. They won't listen to you. Central Kieni West, that is Agnes Shadrach and John Minor, you receive from PS Belio. The next will be PS Dr. Moria. You will hand over to Western. Busia. Okay, Central. Please appreciate PS Belio as he hands over. Next is Western. Busia, Nyamawi Chaka, and Orina Osibwoga. Western Busia. Let's appreciate them as they receive their padlocks. Next will be Rift Valley, Londiani, please queue. And these will be handed over by the CEO ICT Authority. That is Londiani, Bernard Kipuri, and Evans Ogamba. Thank you, Dr. Murray. Let's appreciate them as they receive their padlocks and keys. And the next will be Nyanza. This will be handed over by CEO Communications Authority of Kenya, Dr. Wambua. Wewe ndio utakuwa rafiki yangu sana mwaka huu. Nyanza, Bondo, that is Julius Otieno and Patrick Kosomo. Thank you. Let's appreciate Dr. Wambua. Next will be Northeastern. That is Kutulo, Donald Koech, and Ali Nur. And that will be done by our chair of the council, Professor Nyabundi. Okay, let's appreciate our chair of council. That is Northeastern, Kotulo, Donald Koech, and Ali Nur. And finally, we have Nairobi, Westlands, Gishero Mwai and Rose Mbuno. That will be presided over by Lillian from TSC. Nairobi, Westlands, Sub-County, Gishero Mwai and Rose Mbuno. Let's appreciate them as they receive their padlocks. Thank you very much. So that brings us to the end of the ceremonial handing over of the padlocks. All the other DCCs, ACCs, and sub-county directors will receive their padlocks from that building. I'm sure you'll be ushered there. So CS, at this point, we will bring this session to a close, but it's not the end of today's meetings. So we are appealing to you, please do not leave. Make sure you hang around because there's a lot of technical details that we want to share with you. So after this session, we will do the closing prayer only for this session. Whoever is doing the prayer, please, you could be approaching. Then Imelda, you will make any announcements that we need to make. And then after that, we will request the CS and the 3 PSs to plant trees on our lawn there, in line with the directive that the President has given us that we must plant trees at every available opportunity. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of grounds here, so we will just do it for the CS. Yes, ukienda nyumbani, CS amesema leo make sure umepanda mti. So, Imelda, whoever is doing it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ali Hussein, the TSA County Director, Marsabit.
Thank you very much. We can rise for the prayer. In the name of Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the whole world. You alone we worship, and to you alone we pray for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, not of those who have entered your wrath, nor of those who have gone astray. Lord, do not be angry with us if we forget or lapse into error. Lord, do not judge us with more than we can bear. Pardon us, forgive us our sins, and have mercy upon us. You alone, our protector, give us victory over the unbelieving Satan. In Allah's name we pray.
Thank you. Let's remain upstanding as our CS and his entourage exit the high table. Seats for some announcements. Please let us take our seats for some announcements. I had
Have it.